Hello,
Hello.
Savannah. Welcome to Experts Club. Excited to be here again on another fine Thursday. How are you today?
I'm okay. I'm running on like zero sleep because of mom life, but aside from that,
Oh,
it's great.
oh, yeah. There's van life and then there's mom life, two completely different things.
But similar energies.
Well, this week I am looking forward to talking with our guest. Um, she's pretty great. I've seen her rise in her role over the years, gotten to work with her personally as well as virtually, which is rare in our space. So that's fun. And yeah, no, you haven't met her, so it'll be fun for you to meet her. A lot of our team has met her and worked with her as well, so we're looking forward to our conversation. So let's bring on Kat. Kat, welcome to Ops Experts Club. I'm not going to give a big, long intro of who you are and what you do because that's for you to tell us. So, Kat, why don't you introduce yourself? We're Catless.
We are catless.
Well, it is the day of technical errors, so as Kat jumps in here, um, she's been working with Advance Your Reach, one of our longtime clients at the collab team. We have been with Advance Your Reach for ever, it feels like. I don't know, 5 years or so. We love Advance Your Reach. We've had lots of guests on here from Advance Your Reach.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to
And
work with a lot of Advance Your Reach folks yet, so I'm excited to get to meet more and more of them.
yeah, we've talked with, who have we talked with? Josh, Tabby, Jess. Gosh, I can't remember who else. Yeah, it's just a technical difficulty day.
The internet and my brain are running at the same speed today. Like the glitches that we see on the screen are, yay, there's Cat, yay!
Hi. Hey guys.
Wonderful. Well, Kat, thanks for joining us today. Why don't you give us a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah. So I, like Taryn said, work for Advance Your Reach. I'm the director of events for our very educational based company. So we do everything from workshops to masterminds to random retreats and all the things in between. But we also consult externally. That's a new facet of the department that I manage. That's been really fun. So I'm excited to be with you guys. Savannah, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Taryn, it's
great to meet
great to
you.
see you.
You too. Yeah, great to see you again. I know I'll be seeing you here again shortly as well. I believe in a week and a
Yes,
half. But
we
you
have
weren't
lots of
always
events this
you weren't always a director of events. Is that true? What was your starting role at Advance Your Reach?
Yeah, so I started, it's kind of a funny story, but I started, you guys mentioned that you'd interviewed Jess Andrews. And when I joined the company, I started as her assistant. It was a transition role for me. There's a huge delay, so I hope this is coming through for you guys fine. But I started as her assistant because I was working in a job. I did not want to be there, and I looked at my husband after we'd had our first kiddo, and I said, "How much do I have to make to stay home? I'll be an EA. I can do that easily and be done." And I ended up finding Advance Your Reach, fell in love with the company and the mission and what they did, knowing that this would not be like a job I could do in my sleep, but so excited to find something that I could really kind of like dive into and add value and be part of an awesome community. And from there, I think everyone at the company looked at me and they were like, "Why are you an EA?" And I'm so thankful for the opportunities that Pete and Jess created for me because we now have created an entire events department. And really, the entity itself is called Platform Consulting, of which my title is integrator. So if you're familiar with that whole system and title, then that means something to you. Otherwise, it's like the get done role. So like if you need something done, that's what I do. Um, and it just so happens that that entity focuses on events and executing events. So that's where the event director title comes in. We're kind of like agency for the company, and then externally I function like an operations director for the companies that we partner with.
Wow. Now, do you have experience in events, or is that just something you gained as you rolled with it?
I do have probably like 6 years of experience prior to this in events. I worked for a nonprofit organization called Teen Mania Ministries way back in the day. It doesn't exist anymore, but you guys, for anyone kind of in that Christian circle, the most common thing that you would know is Acquire the Fire, which were
Mhm.
large scale youth conference events ranging from 1,000 people to like 20,000 people in its heyday. Um, and it was a tour. So we did 33 cities a year, and we had 2 teams out on the road in the spring. So 2 events per weekend. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot more than I think I would take on in this stage of my life. But I love that that's where I came from, and that's part of the experience that I have. So
That's
Wow.
huge.
Those are big events.
big events,
Can't
fun
do that
times,
from
large
home.
teams. Yeah, not a solo mission.
So as you've kind of been raised up into this event director role, tell me about your best story, something you learned or taught. What do you got for us?
Yeah. Um, I think the whole genesis of kind of this story that I don't think about often. So this is kind of fun to talk about because we're just so in the weeds of all the things that we're doing and still continually creating. Um, I think the main theme throughout is that I saw a need and I saw the gap, and I said, "Hey, have we ever thought about this? Or this could be really great. This could add, this could create efficiency, this could, whatever that thing was that I saw, I brought it to the table, I built the plan for it, and they were like, "This is great. Let's make this tweak or just run." Um,
Mm.
so I think that's kind of been a theme throughout, and it's a unique facet in our company's culture. I feel like I know not every company is like that, um, but I think that that's a theme that you can take anywhere. If you are seeing the gap or you are seeing the need, and I'm training my team this way too. I'm like, listen, we are imperfect people doing a lot of things really quickly. And so if you're seeing something, I want you to own it. Like add your genius and add your value because we're going to be better off for it. And I love that that's created a lot of opportunity for me as I've exercised that.
Wow. I know I really love like these events. One thing I really enjoy about them is they're not just localized people. It's not like you go to a place and it's only people from around that place. But like you're going to these places and it's people are coming in from all over to this place. And what you get there is you get a whole gauntlet of different types of people at this one
Mm-hmm.
spot all together for the same thing. And it's just like this really interesting mix of so many differences, yet same mind. And you get a really cool kind of dichotomy of different types of people on one place.
It's cool. I love that aspect of what we do. We're constantly getting a churn of new faces. We do have a couple of events that are the same, like masterminds. We get to see those people and nurture
Mhm.
them and celebrate with them and coach them over, a year, 2, 3. But a majority of the events that we do are new faces coming in. And I love that we get to um, encourage and train and hopefully help close the learning gap for a lot of people just in the time that we see them. So it's so fun. We get to meet business owners and entrepreneurs in all stages and help them kind of launch from where they are to where they want to be and then beyond.
Mm.
I feel like something that that helps you guys serve like so many different types of people and like different types of events. I've gotten to help on the back end of one of your events, like virtually, and you guys have a big team that's like making everything happen behind the scenes. And you definitely felt like how you were talking about how you talk to your team. Like there's that teamwork aspect where it's like something's coming up and everyone's like kind of constantly checking on each other and providing ideas and like kind of like coming up with solutions on the fly if something's like, you know, not come up before. I just feel like you guys are really good at like pivoting and kind of keeping things open to suggestion if something needs to change, because you guys, you know, you guys are kind of like rock stars. Like you guys are like still growing exponentially and you've been growing exponentially. So I feel like that like openness that you guys have is part of what has, you know, created your part of your success.
I would agree. We have rapidly grown. For those of you guys who maybe don't know a lot of detail about Advance Your Reach, it was launched in 2017. When I came on in 2019, like at the beginning of the year, there were 20 employees, and we have 65 and a whole host of contractors, collab team being, you know, an amazing addition to what we already have. And no is not in the vocabulary. So I think another thing that we do really well that I love, because belief is a strength of mine, is we cast the vision and we go, listen, here is what we are trying to do. Here's where we're going. These are the goals. This is how we're going to get there, or at least this is how we think we're going to get there. And everyone can kind of latch on to that and contribute in the various ways that they contribute. So for our virtual events, Savannah, I love that you had a great experience of that. We do have a team of rock stars. We tell each other that all the time. It's a really high capacity, high functioning team. And I think that we all see the value in the different perspectives from the different areas and seats that we sit in. And we have learned and know that sales is going to approach it very differently than operations will, than marketing will, than finance will. And all of the perspectives are so helpful to create, and customer experience, of course, to create like a unified picture of creating something that feels whole for the client and the end user. So yeah, I think we cascade the vision really well, and then just acknowledge that there is a lot of expertise all around the table, and those perspectives are really valuable. And I think we do a good job of looking at who are those leaders and where can we elevate. That is always something that I'm thinking of, especially for my team, is I see this greatness in you, and we're going to find or create the best fit for you. And I think that I've seen that be a theme time and time again. And I know that that can be hard when it's like, well, Kat, you do events. So like, that's kind of the role. You have a coordinator and a manager and a director, you know, but there's a lot of different facets that we can create in, be it job descriptions or the roles and responsibilities, the types of events that we do, that kind of hit a passion button for different people in different ways. And so we got off on a rabbit trail, but coming back to, I love that we do work really well as a team. And I think a lot of that has to do with just acknowledging the genius that exists here and keeping that end goal in mind of what we're trying to accomplish. There's always last minute stuff that's coming through. So I think we've learned that pivoting is necessary, because usually those last minute things or technical difficulties, like we know Murphy's Law, whatever can happen, likely will. And there's no exception to that in the event world. You plan for the best, and just knowing that your best laid plans are not going to take place most likely. But the pivots that we do make in the last minute are always the right call for the user. And so our team works tirelessly to really make sure the outcomes are good for the team, for the company, for the client.
Oh yeah, that's very important. And it seems like seeing these events evolve over the years, they just get better and better too. It's not like you've found a formula and use it forever. It's like every event after that is slightly tweaked and better and slightly tweaked and better. And you're, 4 or 5 years down the road now. It's like these events are like 10 times better than they were back then, and just continuing to do that. But events are live, and I'm sure they're hard. They're not always, like you said, perfect. So what's been like the biggest hurdle you've been dealing with either now or in the past as your journey on this?
Um, for live events, I mean, you're right. It changes with the season. So when we had COVID, that was a whole different slew of challenges. Our company largely pivoted to virtual because people weren't meeting in person. And we really looked at how do we, like, what do people want from a live event? And then how do we create the interactivity and connection that people were seeking in the event space? So we were at the forefront, like recognized by Forbes in a lot of different ways for the ingenuity that we brought to the table that feels really commonplace now. So that's cool to see. And I think, here more recently, it's kind of, there are some nuanced things about who you work for that play a huge role. So knowing like who's leading the event from a vision standpoint and what their end goal is, um, really helps you be able to kind of envision like where are we trying to go here and how can I make this so easy for them so they can function in their genius. And that's how I approach all of the events is operations, logistics, figuring out the like minutia or what seems like behind the scenes details so they can just be on stage, function in front of the crowd, really be the front person, bring the genius to the table. That's what I love. So in that, we have our best laid plans and we kind of play a lot of devil's advocate of, okay, so if this scenario happens, then we would do this. Or like, if this scenario happens, then we would do this. And then there's sometimes where stuff is just outside of your control. So like, for example, this was probably the most chaotic event that I had last year. This is like recent. Last October, we had an event where we were at our CEO's house and we were doing like a small dinner for 40 people. We'd hired a caterer who's bringing my food, the tables, the chairs, the linens, the bar, and like all of the people to run it. And we'd hired a DJ. And the caterer was supposed to be there at 2:30. At 3, no, we hadn't heard anything. No one was there. Couldn't get a hold of anyone. And I looked at my team and I was like, okay, so just for fun, because at this point we weren't worried. It was a start time of like 6:37. We have time. They're probably just got lost or something. What would happen? Like, what would we do? We just, in our minds, we're playing a fun little game. Well, 4:00 rolls around, 4:30 rolls around, and we're like, okay, we finally get a hold of someone at 4:30. They'd had a grease fire in the kitchen. And they were like, we're trying to come. And I was like, there's no more trying. We're not doing this. Meanwhile, their whole crew showed up. So I had bartenders, I had service people, I had no tables, no chairs, no linens, no food. So I let the service staff go home. You guys met Josh. I sent Josh with the bartenders, who we don't know, to Costco. They like got liquor and alcohol and a table and all this stuff randomly. So Josh is on that mission. We had a bunch of our other director staff there. This was like a very small event for 40 people. So we did not have a ton of people, but every person had a job. And we had some directors assigned to like pull furniture out of the 2 houses out onto the patio. So it ended up being the most cool looking boutique feeling dinner served by Olive Garden, with a DJ in the back right by the pool. You know what I mean? And so in that case, like no one could have foreseen that would be the scenario that we were in. I certainly would not have imagined that we pulled something off like that. But, in those moments, you just kind of have to figure out, okay, what do we need and where can we get it? And you go do this and you go do this and you go do this. And we do rely a lot on teamwork in those moments because me as myself, I would not have been able to pull that off alone. But having like that end goal in mind and being able to go, cool, this is an all hands on deck situation. You guys are owning this and you're owning this and you're owning this. And we brought it all together and made it happen. So things happen all the time. Thankfully, that situation in particular has not repeated itself. We haven't had that same issue time and time again. But there's always something. There's always something, whether it's like too many people, like more people than you were expecting at the event, or not enough people. And so the room's starting to feel empty, or, issues with the AC, or your print didn't arrive in time. Like there's always something. So we try to get as organized as we can beforehand. So there's not a lot of last minute stuff that we're still trying to create. And we have capacity to handle the inbound last minute, God only knows situations.
Wow.
I feel like that even still ties back to talking about the event in general. Like your guys' company culture is just so healthy that in a situation like that, like it doesn't fall apart because everyone has the humility to like work together. And it's like, no one's like, this task is beneath me. It's like, no, like everyone is helping with everything and like doing what they have to fill in the gaps and make sure that it goes, as best as it can. I really enjoy that with you guys.
I appreciate that too. And I've been on in the director seat for a little over a year now. But I'll tell you, when I was even an EA, like frontline employee, entry level, if you will, it was the same humility. And I think that was one of the things that I too recognized right off the bat, where I was like, this is awesome. Like leaders should be leading this way. It makes it feel like we are all one, and it's not like I'm just being told what I have to do and go work on your menial tasks now. And so it has always kind of felt like we're in this together, and one big team, which we are.
Love
Mhm.
that.
And what's something that Kat today a little piece of advice would give Kat just starting Advance Your Reach as executive assistant to the badass of Jess Andrews? It's a little piece of advice.
Piece of advice. I think I would go back to myself in those moments of self-doubt. I think a lot of what I've experienced early on and as I've progressed, and I know this is universal, is just imposter syndrome, not feeling like the value that you bring is worthwhile or helpful or could make a difference. And I stayed quiet for a long time because I looked around and I was like, these people are badass. Like, why am I here? And instead of just kind of having the confidence to step out and share the idea, even if it isn't the right fit, share the idea, because you don't know what else that could spark for someone else. And you don't know, maybe that is the $1 million idea, So I think that would be the piece of advice that I'd give little Kat, 5 years ago. And the rest of you guys is imposter syndrome is, I feel like that's something that's probably never going to go away. In each manner that you elevate, push through it, because you don't know who's on the other side of your yes or what's on the other side of your yes.
Beautiful.
Powerful. Yeah, we've covered imposter syndrome like so many times on this show, not even on purpose, just because we all are struggling with it so much that it's like we got to stop sometime, but don't know if we can.
I think it's helpful to, at least for me, like pushing past it is really thinking through, or outside of myself. Like it's not about me in those moments. It's about who it impacts and how it impacts them, and those people are worth it. And we talk about that with our clients all the time, because our company is largely based on teaching people how to speak. So there's tons of fear and imposter syndrome and like all of the things that prevent you from really sharing the God-given message that you have. And one of the biggest ways that we teach people how to do this, that we have also implemented in the company, like that I have implemented for myself, is thinking about, okay, if I stay quiet, or if I don't do this, or if I let the fear control me, that's a shame. And that's a waste. Like that's a waste, because I have a message, I have a purpose, I have, these gifts, I've seen these gaps, I've created this. And if I stop creating, like what a waste. It's just a waste. So, yes.
Wow, like Savannah said, you hit on something that we discuss all the time as we bring on different people here. Imposter syndrome, something everybody feels, especially as you're going into these new roles with new young companies. And like things aren't always as clear at a young, small, medium-sized business. You know, it's your job can evolve quickly. You can be asked to do things you don't know and nobody else on your team knows how to do. And you just kind of got to figure it out. And then the other thing that, you know, you embody that we see a lot is as the business grows, so does the people that were there. Like you've grown into a role that didn't even exist when you started because the business grew and needed that role. And somebody from within rose into that role as you kind of helped out in different areas. And those are really important things that we see in these awesome companies we get to work with that people grow with the business. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. I think everything is figure outable. There, there are still currently situations that I am trying to figure out right now. And I think that mindset really makes a difference of approaching it. Not so I don't know how to do a few things that I'm trying to figure out right now, but I'm going to figure them out and we will have a solution. The research is out there, the expert is out there. Like I can find someone who knows how, I can Google how to do it, you know. So I think especially for those companies who are like in the startup phase and growing up to the next level, those team members who've really taken the initiative are the ones who do grow with the company. You know, it's not the person who's sitting there just kind of doing what they want to do. So if you are a person who wants to grow with your company, take the initiative, figure it out, learn how to make yourself an asset. And you can create that in your company because if you're the one who's constantly providing value and value and value, who do you think they're going to come to first when they have an opening? It's going to be the person who keeps showing up and showing out. So there's your second piece of advice. I would say that to little Cat too.
Great. Well, I know we're looking forward to continuing to work with you. I know the finance team asked our team about some players to help out at future events. So, you know, you might be seeing more collab faces. We're looking
So
forward to
excited.
that. We love Advance to Reach, all the events and all the things y'all are doing. And I know we're still helping out with Wellspring and you know, different other entities of Eternal Ventures. And it's always fun. Your experience, has the feelings been mutual with the collab team?
Oh my gosh, we love working with you guys. I was telling, we have a few transitions just happening in the finance team right now. So there's been like questions on how we've done stuff in the past. And I've just been here for so long, I'm fielding some of those questions. But um, they were asking, like, Savannah, your name came up for one of the events, and they were like, I don't know Savannah. And I was like, honestly, I don't know Savannah either. But I feel like if she works at the collab team, it's probably not a bad decision. Like, everyone who works at the collab team is so helpful and so kind. They always figure it out. Like, we just worked an event last week with Drew, who I'd seen before but never met in person. Like, just solid through and through. You guys have always been helpful. I think you embody a lot of the things that I mentioned of just um, figuring out how to help, figuring out, like Taryn built so many SOPs that we still follow in the early ages, you know, like there's a lot that you guys have created that's helped our company really grow and kind of launch us to where we are right now. So we're so thankful for that contribution and also the continued support because yeah, we still pull you in. Especially we run like 50 events a year, so this fall we have a lot going on. And like, to put it in perspective, I have 3 event team members. It's like me and 2 people. And like our
Wow.
finance team is 3 people. So when you start to look at it and we're like, cool, we can't all travel like 4 times a month, you know what I mean? We don't have 50 events this fall, but it's a lot of
It's a
travel, and we're
no.
looking at how do we um, how do we make this doable for people, for parents, for, you know, work-life balance. And we're so thankful that we have support from the collab team and others, but especially you guys, to make that possible for us.
Oh, it's so nice. Well, we truly appreciate being called upon and still being able to help. It's a great company. like I said, one of the first, handful that Aaron and the collab team became engaged with was Advance Your Reach and Pete Vargas. So it's been a great journey together. And we're at the end of our time, Kat. It's been wonderful discussing events with you. It's great. I'm really glad you had a fire in the kitchen story for us. Literally turned into a fire in the kitchen story.
Yeah. I can't make that up, man. That happens.
That was fun to hear. But
well, I'm really honored. Thank you guys for inviting me to share some time with you. And it's always great to see you and work with you. And I'm looking forward to this fall.
Yeah, awesome. Us too. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Ops Experts Club again. See us next week, same time. And we'll see you in the future, Kat, Savannah. See y'all later.
Nice to meet you, Kat. Bye.